Erik Weihenmayer is one of the most inspiring, engaging, and sought-after speakers in the world. He is the only blind person to have reached the summit of Mount Everest and climbed all 7 summits, the highest peak on every continent. Erik has scaled El Capitan, a 3,300-foot overhanging granite monolith in Yosemite, and Losar, a 3,000-foot ice waterfall in the Himalayas. He is a pioneer who solo paraglides and ice climbs, and has completed the most brutal adventure race in the world, 460 miles in 9 days. Every new challenge is an opportunity to problem solve, strategize, and create a new way forward. He is the best-selling author of 2 books, Touch the Top of the World, made into a feature film, and The Adversity Advantage. A feature-length documentary, Farther Than the Eye Can See, chronicles his thrilling ascent of Everest. Erik has received worldwide attention and recognition for his achievements. He's been on the cover of Time magazine, appeared on Oprah and Larry King, and countless other programs. A seasoned speaker, he has shared the stage with world leaders and luminaries, including Secretary Colin Powell and Vice President Al Gore. He even spoke at the 2009 presidential inauguration festivities in Washington, D.C. Erik's achievements are the result of his passion for discovery and innovation. He believes in being a pioneer, of making the impossible possible, and opening up a new world of opportunity for yourself, your organization, and the people around you.
And there's one thing that hasn't changed much since that very first time I went rock climbing more than 20 years ago. And that's the reach. You know, I think we're always reaching into darkness. We're predicting, we're calculating, we're hoping, we're praying. All our algorithms, all our metrics, you know, they lead us to believe that we're going to find what we're looking for. But we understand there's no guarantee. It's that moment when we've reached out, our minds and our bodies, and we know it's almost impossible to turn back. I think those fears, they're overwhelming. The fear of flopping on our face, of looking stupid in front of our friends, of making a mistake in front of our colleagues, in front of our team. The fear that we're not as good at something as we wanted to be, or the fear that we've climbed as high as we can go. There's nowhere else to go but down. I think those fears, they conspire against us and they can paralyze us so that maybe we decide to stop reaching. When I think there's a big difference between most people and pioneers. Because pioneers understand that life is an ongoing, never-ending process of reaching out into the darkness when we don't know exactly what we're going to find.
Erik's core message is to use adversity to your advantage by embracing problem solving and creating new systems and strategies, by turning into the storm and harnessing adversity so that it produces fuel for your dreams.
The best example on a personal level that I've ever seen who was able to do this is a friend of mine named Mark Wellman. When Mark was 19 years old, he fell down a peak in the Sierra Nevadas and he became paralyzed from the waist down. And Mark decided that he was going to climb again. And he went out and he developed this new pioneering system. No one had ever seen anything like it. He has a pull-up bar. He locks onto the rope. He slides the bar up. It locks off. He pulls himself up. He slides up the rope on an ascender that's connected to his chest. He pushes the bar up. He pulls himself up. He pushes the bar up. He gets only about 6 inches up with each pull-up. He climbed El Capitan. They estimated he did over 7,000 pull-ups in 7 days. I've met a lot of people like Mark over the years. You know, they're who I call alchemists. You know, these people who seem to be able to turn lead into gold. You know, with an alchemist, they just haven't figured out how to deal well with adversity or survive it or circumvent it. They've actually figured out a way to seize hold of that storm of adversity that seems to swirl around us, to harness its energy and use it to propel themselves forward to places that they might not have gone to in any other way.
Erik preaches that leadership is contagious, and his lively presentations remind us that laughter is contagious too.
90% of accidents happen on the way down when you've let your guard down. But I was also exhilarated because we had timed it perfectly. We had radioed down to our our base camp manager, who radioed out to a small airstrip near the mountain, and where my family waited. And now that we were on top, my dad and my 2 brothers and my wife, they were circling above us in a plane, watching us take our last steps. And we all had these red suits on, and we looked identical to each other as climbers, and we're waving our ski poles at the plane, we're cheering. And I turned to Jeff. I said, "Hey, Jeff, do you think they'll know I made it? I want them to know I'm here." And he said, "Oh, yeah, they'll know. You're the only one waving your ski pole in the wrong direction." It's good to have friends, I think.
Erik believes that adversity holds the key to achieving everyday greatness in life, business, and society. When faced with adversity, you must summon your strengths. And so often, your greatest strength is the team you surround yourself with.
I knew as good of a climber as I'd become, I could never get to the top of Everest alone. As independent as a blind person, as independent as I became, I would never get to the top alone. I knew what would get me to the top were the people that I surrounded myself with. I wanted a group of people who weren't afraid to link their fates together inextricably, to be connected. If there were problems, which there always are, to solve them together. If there were successes, to share them together. And what I love about climbing most is that you're roped up. A lot of times you're roped up. And if you're a good team, you're like a snake. You're wriggling up the mountain. All the pieces of the team are in perfect sync, yet everyone's doing something very different and vital that keeps the team moving and functioning and safe. And what's even better, I think, is that if one person on that team were to pop through a snow bridge or tumble down the mountain, it's in everyone's best interest to stop that guy from going. Yeah, you throw yourself down on your ice axe. You stop him. It's a terrifying way to travel. It's terrifying because you win together, you lose together. There's no middle ground. Each person on that team, they can kill you or they can drive you to the summit.
Erik believes a strong team is the foundation for nurturing the seeds of leadership. And he believes that leadership is not just about reaching your own summits, but helping others reach their own summits too. Erik leads by redefining perceptions of blindness around the world. He guided 6 blind Tibetan teenagers to 21,500 feet on the flanks of Mount Everest, higher than any team of blind climbers have ever stood. Their remarkable journey was made into the award-winning documentary film, Blind Sight. Erik is also a humanitarian who founded a nonprofit called No Barriers to promote innovative technologies and techniques that help people with special challenges live active and adventurous lives. Erik Weihenmayer reminds audiences to dream big and shatter expectations, to reach out from the darkness and ignore the limitations which others impose. He reminds us that there are summits everywhere, big and small, calling out, ready to be climbed.
I believe what Helen Keller said. She said, the greatest things in the world, they can't be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And I think a summit is like that. It's not just a place of rock and snow. It's inside of us. It's a symbol. It could be anywhere. It could be with a customer or with your team. It could be on a personal level, on a date with your spouse, or on the floor with your kids. Or in my case, on the rock wall with my daughter. Or with my boy Arjun that we just adopted from Nepal. I think a summit is that moment when we realize how important our lives are, that we can contribute to something extraordinary, that with the force of our minds, our bodies, our souls, that we can transform our lives into whatever we want them to be.
Good job, Erik.
Thank you.
Good job, buddy. You did it. You did it.
Strong work. Good job, Erik. You did it, man. Woo! We're on top of the world. We are on top of the world. The apex of the planet.
I can't believe it.